What? 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 No way. What the hell? How? What? Why? Okay, I need to try to rationalize this because I saw this tweet 5 minutes ago. The Vancouver Canucks have traded Daniel Sprong to the Seattle Kraken for nothing. Future considerations. Now, look, I'm going to say this. I don't think that there needs to be any other, expanded thoughts or added on assets to a trade like this. Friedman is saying, hearing Daniel Sprong on the way back to Seattle for future considerations. Okay, great. If there is a pick or something that's involved when the actual trade gets revealed, or let's say the Canucks, I don't know, maybe get some other prospect that's insignificant, we can go over that entire conversation later. I just wanted to talk about the Canucks trading Daniel Sprong away, because I think, this is going to take everybody by surprise. You're already seeing this tweet. 8 minutes ago, 556 likes, a whole bunch of retweets. It keeps on updating as we just stare at the page over here. But, I mean, some of the replies, he's been really good in Vancouver. Future considerations has bounced a ton over the last few years. Hopefully he gets a fresh start in Vancouver. Yeah, ha, future considerations jokes. What happened? I thought the Canucks had a star. This is a really, really good idea here. That because Sprong is out, it could mean that we see some Lekaramaki action soon, or Dakota Joshua, or Baines, or whomever else. I like this tweet, though. This kind of goes out there and describes a lot of what Daniel Sprong's impact was for the Vancouver Canucks. He's the worst good player ever. And that sounds so hyperbolic. It sounds so oxymoronic, but I do think there is some truth to that. He's a very bad, good player. Oh, Tocchet did not like him. Canucks making room for someone. What are they considering? Okay, that they're considering the future. That caught me so off guard. My goodness, we'll give that a like. Yeah, Sprong was traded for future considerations. What are they considering, guys? Okay. Just in case you needed the update, what exactly does future considerations mean? It just essentially means that sometime down the line, Seattle is going to owe a favor to Vancouver, and Seattle might help out Vancouver in some way. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. They'll consider it in the future. So, Sprong is going over to Seattle, and I wanted to dive into this because Sprong's profile is extremely weird. 27 years old, 6 feet, 194, right-handed guy signed on to the Vancouver Canucks for a $975,000 contract for 1 year. Now, of course, it's going to be in Seattle. This year with the team, he had 3 points in 9 games played, a goal in the very first game of the season, and 2 other assists. Map that out over 79 games, you would have had a pace of a point every 3 games for 27 points. Last year in Detroit, he had 43 points in 76 games. The year before that, he had 46 points in 66 games. The thing is with Sprong, he was always a good point producer. He was always a good goal scorer, but he never found himself higher up in the lineup than a middle to bottom 6 role with Detroit, and especially with Vancouver. Okay, he had a little bit of a cup of coffee with Pettersson, but that was it. Because Daniel Sprong's reputation is that he just cannot play any defense. He doesn't work hard outside the offensive zone. He doesn't back check. He doesn't do this. He doesn't do that. He is very unreliable when he doesn't have the puck. When he has the puck, things happen. He shoots, he scores, he makes things happen on the board. But ultimately, his profile as a holistic hockey player was not great. He was good at 3 things: shooting, creating offense, and making nice passes out in front. But other than that, there were so many warts and question marks with how Daniel Sprong would be able to translate in a Rick Tocchet system. A system that emphasizes being able to do everything in your power to keep that opposing team at bay. Things that Daniel Sprong just did not really exhibit much of throughout his career. Now, we were optimistic. When Sprong signed with Vancouver, there were very apparent conversations that noted that he was like that in his prior teams. And Rick Tocchet was willing to compromise, was willing to talk to the media, talk about how they're trying to improve his game. How Sprong said he called Rick Tocchet, and that conversation on the phone was part of the reason he decided to come to Vancouver. How this Canucks team would help this player work through those warts, keeping that goal-scoring element to his game intact whilst providing better all-around consistent play. And I will say, for the first opening parts of the year, we did see some moments where Daniel Sprong would back-check and he would try to make that defensive play. He'd try to swipe the puck away while chasing the other guy down. He was actually doing an okay job at that. But as the next few games continued with Vancouver, Sprong just didn't really amount to much. And sure, you can say that opportunity plays a part of it. He only had 9 minutes in the game yesterday against the LA Kings, which included a 5-minute major power play. But Daniel Sprong ultimately, I mean, I don't want to say he wasn't living up to his potential, but I think it was quickly evident based off of how the season began that some of the improvements that we thought were possible with this player may not have actually been as realistic as we thought. And I don't think that's necessarily a knock on Sprong. I don't necessarily think it's a knock on Tocchet either. I think both of these parties just had this idea, hey, we're going to try it. Hey, I'm going to hopefully become a better defensive player by going over and playing in this Rick Tocchet coach team. Tocchet might have been thinking, we're going to hopefully be able to transform this guy. And if after a 9-game sample, they just feel that it hasn't happened yet, okay, they're sending him over to Seattle for nothing. And it's not like the Canucks really grabbed themselves much of a loss here anyway, I would say, considering Sprong was such a cheap contract. It was only a 1-year contract. I don't want to say he's got so much value now, especially since his point production has taken a dip from the prior 2 seasons. It was seen as a steal, honestly, when the Canucks signed this guy a few months ago. Oh yeah, they got this 20-goal scorer for $900,000. He can play with Pettersson, he can play with DeBrusk, but unfortunately, beyond the first few games of the season, we didn't really see too much success coming out of that pairing. Now, going over to Seattle, taking a look at why it is they are acquiring this guy, it honestly kind of strikes me as weird why it's Seattle in particular that is making this sort of an acquisition, because I feel like for the Kraken, they have been pretty deep forward-wise for most of the season. If we go over to the Seattle Kraken line combinations, I wanted to take a look at this right here. I mean, are you telling me that Daniel Sprong is going to beat out Eeli Tolvanen for a spot? Or Ty Kartye or Brandon Tanev? Even these guys at the bottom of the lineup are pretty strong hockey players. The problem is, though, with Seattle, they haven't necessarily been getting as much results as they probably would have wanted out of guys other than Jared McCann and Brandon Montour. Now, they made some pretty good signings, Chandler Stevenson, the aforementioned Montour, but realistically, when it comes to the rest of this team, you can say that there might be a little bit too many guys that are trying to fight for spots and trying to sort things out in terms of the roles and the defined abilities here. Like Yanni Gourde, for example, only 3 points in 14 games. He has been the subject of trade rumors for quite a bit now. I'm not saying Daniel Sprong is going to come in here and absolutely light the lamp up on fire, but there are some guys he's going to have to force himself to beat out if he wants to get the opportunity to do that. Maybe because Seattle has already played with this dude for a season where he had 20 goals in 66 games played. That's a really good point production metric. Maybe because they're already used to him. They know how he's going to operate. He knows how they operate as a team. And overall, I think there might be just a better fit there with the Seattle Kraken. So Vancouver, this doesn't really seem like a trade where it's like, oh yeah, they're kind of getting fleeced here. Vancouver sucks. Oh, they're like getting, oh yeah, here you go, Daniel Sprong for future considerations. It's not like the Canucks are losing out in this trade per se. It seems more so that they're trying to just give this guy a better opportunity and open up another roster spot for them. Because as we'd already been talking about, the Canucks have so many forwards that, okay, maybe when they're healthy, they have so many forwards that are capable of playing in the lineup. There are literally 10 or 11 that are guarantees if everybody's healthy. Now with Brock Besser on the sidelines for now, and Dakota Joshua also slowly coming back, we'll see what that final spot looks like, whether it's an Oman or a Baines or a Lekaramaki or a Ratu. Every other spot is pretty much taken up though. So for Daniel Sprong to leave this Canucks organization, it opens up one more free opportunity. So thoughts in the comment section below about Sprong over to Seattle for future considerations. It is a 1-for-0 trade. I hope you enjoyed this video. 9 and bye.